Today's presenter is the first musician we've invited back to be a featured speaker. I don't think he'll be the last. Francis is a talented musician, a busy producer, a founder of a music management company that prioritizes BIPOC performers, and a passionate mental health advocate who uses his platform and influence to help others see the possibility to breathe new life into past dreams. I'll let him explain that a little bit more himself. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Francis Arevalo.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Does the clicky thing? The clicky thing does the clicky thing. Great. Hello, everyone. How's it going? Good. Doing good. Oh, this is great. What are some? I made some notes to set up that I was not expecting to do. Oh, yeah. So I got this gift. Dave. Was it Dave? Where you at, Dave? Shout out, Dave. Give it up one time for Dave. This amazing piece of art, this gift, Sanctuary in Green. The synesthesist in me is very happy about Sanctuary in Green. Give it up one time also for Bella. Where's Bella? Yeah, please. Three thoughts came to mind as you were performing. First was, oh my God. First. Second was, the producer in me was like, I want to sample Bella's music. The third thought was, okay, well, how would I do that now? In your music, you performed 3 songs, yeah? The 3 songs, there were 3 lyrics that I heard. The first one was, where do we go? In the second song, there was, I feed the flame because the fire is what I need, or something like that. The light is what I need. The light is what I need. And the third was quiet thoughts, quiet dreams. Yeah, okay. So the way that I remix that now to be the intro to my forthcoming presentation is that a sanctuary, to me, is where I go to have quiet thoughts and quiet dreams to feed the flame because the light is what I need. Okay, so I've never done this presentation, performance, whatever you're about to see before. So this is a play also. I hope you gather something valuable from this. You learn something to apply in your own life or something to not apply in your own life. And also, at the very least, you'll be entertained by watching this fool make a fool of himself. But before we get going into the presentation, my preface is this. This is a talk about creativity. I think we can all agree that that's a thing that we're all gathered here today to do. It's my creativity. This is a talk about life, my life, and the two cannot be separated. To survive, to live, and to thrive in the face of anything is to be creative. To create, to imagine, and to invent are life-giving and life-sustaining. So this is a story about my life and creativity and how they feed each other as it relates to Sanctuary. A content warning. The following presentation contains references to bipolar disorder, depression, mania, psychosis, suicide, mental health, mental illness, and self-harm. I hope you can do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If it means leaving the room, I take no slight if that's what you need to do to take care of yourself. You can also reach out to one of the coordinators in the room if you need to talk to someone. And also, I'm happy to chat after about any part of this talk, including these topics. Okay. Reset. Maybe some quick other, maybe contextual notes. I like wearing hats. This is one hat. This is the oldest hat that I own. This is questionably a hat. I don't know if some people call this hat, some people don't. I wore toques a lot when I was in theater in high school, and this is the hat I wear in the present day. Okay. My name is Francis Arevalo. This is Francis Arevalo in 2013, wearing hats. And in 2013, I was an artist first and foremost. I walked into rooms as an artist, whether it was a performance room or a classroom, I was always performing. Whether it was my music or my ego. But this version of me is sort of like the inner child that I'm in conversation with throughout all of what I'm about to share today. This guy, like, you know that image where he's like, yeah, talking to him. The theme is sanctuary. And when I thought of how I'd approach this talk, of course, I Googled a lot. And these are the patterns and the words and definitions that I kept coming up against. But I thought this is how everyone experiences, or like the collective experiences, sanctuary. And so I thought, what are my sanctuaries? Naturally, go back to Google. This time Google Photos, actually. And found every photo that made me think of the word sanctuary. We have a basketball court, multiple gardens, mountains, Grouse Mountain specifically, my music studio, other people's music studios, an office, an empty room, Cascade Water. Shout out Cascade Water. But in preparing for this, I thought, well, I could just walk you through my sanctuaries, but I'm like, that's kind of boring. And so I thought, Creative Mornings gave me sanctuary. What do I bring uniquely to this topic, to this conversation? What can I offer that only I can? A lot of questions for myself. And so I went on a really, really, really long walk, and I found the answer. And the answer was something that keeps coming up to me, but I think something that everyone can relate with. I think this sentence, for the artists, the creatives, the entrepreneurs in the room, you might have heard this before. Wow, you wear a lot of hats. And so this will be the tying thread. This is basically just one long joke responding to, wow, you wear a lot of hats. I wear a lot of hats. From when I was a child, sometimes different configurations, sometimes backwards, sometimes in the air. I wore a fedora one year. We don't do that anymore. But yeah, I really, really love hats. This is my hat collection. This is basically just a flex. I don't really know. I'm just kidding. But there's a reason why this is centered around hats. So on one hand, we have hats. On the other hand, we have sanctuaries. What is going to connect these two things? I know. An acronym. I told you this was going to be ridiculous. H.A.T.S. This is the name of this talk, a talk by Francis Arevalo. Okay. So, I could tell you my whole life story starting from here, but there literally isn't time. But if there's one image that I wanted to show you that sort of sets the stage for this talk, it's this one. May 29th, 1994. This is me. I'm dancing, and there's a microphone on the ground. I'm about to pick it up, or I just dropped it, and I'm about to do the dance breakdown number. And that's my Lola. To me, this is a sanctuary because this is where I was safe enough to play. I had my needs met. I was filled with love and joy and a peace such that everyone probably lost count of how long I was dancing and singing that night. But we're going to tell this story, 2015 to 2023. And I'll walk you through these sanctuaries that facilitated my life and my creativity along the way. In 2015, I was a residence coordinator at UBC. I was the supervisor for residence advisors who then supervised the students in the residence. I lived here, I worked here, and I played here. And I hated it. I thought that, cool, I get to apply my creativity to a community and enhance and support the lives of other people. I was also deeply, deeply, deeply unwell for the first time in my life. I would experience deep depression, and over time, the pressure started to spike into hypomania, and my sleep would lessen, my thoughts would race, my mood would spike up or down. And this was an attempt, you can start to see, at me trying to create my sanctuary within this chaotic, dissonant, and tense environment that I was in, right? When I wasn't interacting with residents, when I wasn't interacting with my supervisors or my residence advisors, I play music. I'd play. I put my dreams on a wall. This space drained me, and it was the only place that I had to live, work, and play. It got worse. If you look at in the cork on the walls there, you can't quite see it in this image, but there are sort of like fractal shapes and different geometric patterns that, to me, was me trying to make sense of the universe. And I felt a kind of delusion that I was controlling the universe by controlling these strings. This is probably the only image I have that captures the onset of the mania. I was kicked out of the residence, fired from my job. I was one course away from finishing my degree. One course. Yeah, in January 2015, my life was going this way on one fateful day. I think it's actually that's not okay. I was gonna say I think it's actually today, but I actually think it's January 10th. January 10th, my life went this way. And I found this open space. This was kind of 5-10 minutes from here, I think. And I proceeded to do this. I put all my belongings, put all my money into renting out this space and trying to, on one hand, get my creative ideas out into a space that could take root and gather community and share with others. But also, this is an act of survival. This was me getting out of a place that was draining me and ultimately putting me in depressive and manic states and doing whatever this is. It didn't last very long. In between leaving the residence and April 27th, manic state. Manic state, fugue state. I don't remember many different moments that happened during that time. Didn't sleep a lot. My appetite fluctuated drastically. I created a lot. I said a lot of things that hurt a lot of people. I did a lot of things that hurt a lot of people and myself. And I spent recklessly. And ended up in the psychiatric ward at UBC for 1 month with limited contact, and I wasn't allowed to wear hats. But inside the psychiatric ward, there was a solarium, there was a piano, and a ping pong table. For those who don't know what a solarium is, here it was a small room with plants and books and a place for the light to come in and just be. Be at my own pace. And here I learned, here I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder type 1, susceptible to psychotic episodes. And this is probably one of the hardest times of my life. This is April 27th, 2015. The next place that I landed in, this next sanctuary, was my parents' home. I was deeply in debt. I was depressively suicidal. And I just, I just got kicked out of my full-time job where I was about to finish my degree in like English and English language and psychology, and they already weren't a fan of that. But I basically thought, I'm just not living up. I'm just not living. And this space held all of me. It held all of my dreams, held all of my failures, all of my disappointments, all of my heaviness, and provided me housing, shelter, quiet, deep, deep, deep quiet, to process what had just happened for those 4 months. And here, I slept on a mattress on the small living room in my parents' home for a year and a half, I think. I lost connection with all my friends, all my collaborators, and it was just me getting through the day. Getting through the day was a win. I still think of that time as creative, though. I found creative ways to get through the day. I wasn't making no music, though. In 2016, something changed. In 2016, I took this photo, April 27th, 2016, a year after my hospital admission. This is the day after I attempted suicide. And I found myself at the gym the next day, shooting some shots. My sanctuary, my place where I could be me fully and my thoughts could roam freely. Something familiar, too. I found myself on mountains, asking people to take a picture of me every time I completed a gross grind. Again, this to me was like nature's solarium. I could be at my own pace, by myself. My thoughts had all the space in the world to be. And I started working at Cascade Water. This is my Tito's water shop on Main Street and 18th in Mount Pleasant. From 2016 to 2019, I worked here and started to get my life back together. It gave me a place to spend my days, a place to start making some money, and ultimately start to put my dreams in action. No one was telling me that music was a bad idea here. It was only me. This was me in conversation with myself 9 hours a day. In 2017, my sanctuaries became other people's music studios. I turned my friends' homes into music studios. And I moved with my family to a bigger home because for a lot of reasons, but especially because no one was going to have me sleeping on the mattress on a living room for a very long time. That room soon became a music studio. It's what I had. It's not the greatest setup, but it worked. And Cascade Water, once just a business, also became a music studio. This is where I learned to make beats. This is where I learned to produce. This is where I wrote everything that's been in preparation to be released, or that I've been releasing over the last few years. I joke sometimes, but I'm very, very serious that this particular sanctuary is probably the most important reason or factor in me having a music career at all. Here's the inside view. That desk was my music production desk. I put a little Bluetooth speaker just in front of that calendar, and I would fill that space with my dreams, my music, my ideas, and talk out loud a lot to myself. In letting myself speak freely, express freely, I started, instead of just writing songs about being the best at rapping, which is what I did in 2013, and still kind of do now, but I started to articulate the feelings and the experiences and the traumas that I'd experienced. So I wanted to give you a quick snippet of something that I wrote in this space about that experience from 2015 to 2019. I don't know what could hold me down. I found home in my homies now. Homeostasis is my basis now. Honed in my aim is to make a place get loud. I found rhythm. I learned nothing is given. Listen, all this could be taken, so take a breath and pace your rest and make your steps. You could save yourself when I didn't die. I thought I was finished. I just couldn't see. The vision's been waiting for me. The end was a better beginning. The days, whatever you make it, your fate could be yours for twisting. I had a wish. Life could be better than this. I could get up, I got loving to live and someone to kiss and something about kids and justice to fix and something to give. What is it? I left the past to start moving on. I found the things that moved me and music that had me doing songs, family that proved me wrong, grown me strong, hold me close and told my soul it'll be all right. Show me light like dawn after the darkest night. It's been a minute since knowing pain. This is the sound of feeling and healing and having more to say. Resilience when life's wild, while it's also known to tame what happens to a lion if it's not allowed to grow its mane. Thank you. Me making some beats in my water shop in between customers coming in. Sometimes a customer would come in, and I'm like, oh, this is actually a great marketing opportunity. And and then they'd be like, what are you playing? And I'm like, me? Yeah. 2019, the music studio is growing. This is a garden beside Creative BC. My efforts in music and community organizing led me to a job at Creative BC, a salaried full-time position adjacent to the music industry, and I thought, parental approval. I was there for 2 years, I think. Learned a lot, but that's a story for another day. I no longer work there. 2020, as the shutdowns were happening, I needed a sanctuary. So this is the final version of the music studio in my own home. This is where I became a better producer, a better musician, and also just communicated musically the things I wanted to, with no other external factor bothering me. In 2021, I started to build another sanctuary with my friend who is in the audience. Uwido is a home, a business, an ecosystem for independent artists, prioritizing BIPOC artists, to thrive and build their careers independently. I am an artist manager. I wanted to offer the same kinds of sanctuary that other sanctuaries in my life have provided me from my creativity, but offer it to other people. This is what I do full-time now, supporting artists, helping make their ideas, their dreams, and their careers happen. 2022, the team started to grow such that another room in the home needed to become a sanctuary in the form of an office. Have little team meetings, little brainstorms. And in 2023, I get to do what I've finally, the whole time been wanting to do, is be an artist. I just wanted to make music this whole time, and I had to do everything else to set up myself so that I could become an artist fully. FMCA, that's the autograph for my artist work. 0427 is the name of my trilogy of albums that tells the story between 2015 and 2023. There are three. These are the working cover arts for them. On the left is H.A.T.S, telling the story from 2009, so the end of high school, up until 2015. The Sound of Healing tells the story from 2015 to 2019. And Homegrown tells the story between 2019 and 2023. This is a story literally like, I can't even count how many years that is in the making. But I finally have built enough of a sanctuary around me, outside of me, such that my creativity can finally take shape. So, when I think of sanctuary now, instead of going through my Google Photos and finding all the things that make me think of sanctuary, these come to mind now. A home for artists, a home for myself to be an artist, and a project for my artist part of me to find a home in. So this guy is happy again. Yeah, inner child artist me gets to be an artist. But hats. What? Hats. What is the secret here? Francis, how do you do it? Hats access the sanctuaries. So, my most prized possessions. Oh, hats. This hat is my movement hat. I play basketball in it. I run in it. I walk in it. I hike in it. But it's my way of. I was thinking about this. Like, we all talk about like work-life balance. I don't think work-life balance like really resonates with me. I think of work-life distinction. I think these provide me the lenses with which to see and approach the things that are in front of me. For example, music is work and it's play and it's life. It just really depends literally which hat I'm wearing. This is my tending, it's like my gardening hat. It's green, it's got a flower on it. This is when I'm tending, cultivating, like creating. Next hat, Vancouver Grizzlies. Just like the hat that I always wore all the time in 2013. This is also a Grizzlies hat. I just really want people to know I'm an MC from Vancouver. But this is my new artist. So I'm performing as a musical artist when I wear this hat. Uito. This is the hat I wear when I'm building the Uito world. And I realized I needed a personal hat. So this is when I'm doing personal or like family work, such as like budgeting or planning someone's engagement party in my family or like cleaning the house. When I'm not wearing a hat, I am completely passive and at rest and in flow with whatever is presented to me. When I wear this hat, I am ready to be anything to anyone at all times. This is like my all-around hat. This used to be my all-around hat. The thing is, I still wear this one primarily, just like how I wore this one primarily in 2013. The only difference is that this one is washable. So, hats. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. That was interesting. Wait.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting.
Unplanned. We have time this morning, so we're going to bring back something that has always been really, frankly, one of the best parts, in our opinion, of these gatherings. I'm going to ask everybody to organically spin your chairs around into clusters, like there's 4, maybe 6, just to create little conversation circles. And for the next few minutes, I want you to just ask yourselves and each other what you just heard, what didn't you hear that maybe you were expecting, what resonated for you in a positive way, maybe something actually was triggering for you and you want to talk about it. Have that conversation for a few minutes with folks, and then we're going to come back and we're going to have a dialogue with our speaker, and we're going to engage in a little bit more, and we're going to go deeper. But he didn't get to prep for this part. So
Love it.
It's improv.
I love it.
Cool. We'll see you back in, let's call it 8 or 10 minutes, and then the good stuff, okay?
Cool.
Okay. Francis, come join me. Who has questions for our speaker? We only have time for a few.
Thanks for your talk. Now that you're in a better place, how do you evaluate opportunities that come across your path, and how does that take a role in your future planning now that you're headed in a positive direction?
Does it feel good? That's the answer, I think. I lead with my intuition and my initial first bodily response and like energetic and emotional response to anything, whether it's an opportunity, a resource, a conversation, a connection, and then I play with reason for a little bit, but then I always come back to like, well, how do I feel about it?
Oh, I think I'm getting tapped.
Sorry, I was just curious about the toque, because I think you talked about all the other hats.
Yeah.
Is that an okay question?
It is an okay question. It is an okay question.
What's the toque?
Maybe the little hint or something I'll give you is that the toque I mentioned is something that I wore in theater in high school. Yeah. So there's a reason why I switched hats. That is connected to the 0427 world that I mentioned. So I planted a lot of seeds and Easter eggs here, basically, and you're going to have to follow along to see how they all pay off. Yeah.
One over here, yeah. No. And they can't hear you on Zoom.
Top 5, dead or alive.
Top 5 dead or alive. Oh, that's hard. On the spot, on Zoom too. I'm gonna give you, I'll give you my top 5 in terms of who I listen to the most and who influences me. First person is H.A.T.S, Common, Black Thought. I'm gonna throw in DJ Tilo as a producer and also Shad's DJ. And, fifth spot, Lauryn Hill. Yeah.
We're clapping for his musical tastes.
Thank you. Your presentation had shown a lot of sanctuary in terms of isolation, or in my case, my sanctuary is transit as well as swimming, because
Yes.
I swim. That's where a lot of I'm a poet, and I get my ideas, and then I isolate myself to type it. So I'm just wondering, can we have both, like collective as well as individual sanctuary? It doesn't have to be 50-50, it can be 80 in the sanctuary and then 10% isolation.
Yeah, so maybe the punchline that I ran out of time, basically, that connected it all together, was that, so the hats accessing the sanctuaries. The sanctuaries are all places that I experienced more or less on my own and learned a bunch of things from. Learned approaches, I learned deep creative, emotional life lessons. The hats helped me access the places and things and lessons that I learned from those locations. Like when I put on that green hat, I'm in a garden in my head. When I'm performing as an artist wearing a basketball hat, I'm channeling who I am as a point guard getting buckets, you know what I mean? And so those hats, no matter where I am, whether I'm in isolation or in community, on a stage, in the workplace, I'm always in connection with the sanctuaries that I pass through. And so my favorite place my favorite place and practice that I guess, I'm always in a sense of sanctuary is on my long walks. I go for long 1.5 to 2 hour walks every morning, and I put on one of those hats as the priority lens to see my epiphanies through. And then I go into community and be a person and hopefully experience sanctuary with them too.
I have a question around when you're looking back and you're considering, those places where things were darkest. And I don't know if this question is perhaps trite or maybe even not even relevant, but I'm curious what you would say to yourself in those moments. And I know that can be, maybe there's nothing to say, maybe it's just a matter of going through, but if there is anything that comes to mind.
There is something that comes to mind. So earlier in my childhood, my Lola, my mom's mom, she would say to me, be humble, be grateful, keep going. And so I got it tattooed on my chest here, backwards, so that when I look in the mirror, no matter at any point in my life, however I'm feeling, what I'm going through, that thing is what greets me in the morning.
That's great. I'm gonna wrap up. I'm gonna ask you one final question to wrap up. Tell us about the form, experience, and what life with synesthesia is like.
Oh, yeah. So I think synesthesia presents and expresses for different people in multitude of ways. For me, it's like when I look at the color green, that specific color green, I experience different emotions, sensations, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whenever I look at that specific color, or even or texture, actually. Texture is a big thing for me too. And so when I meet someone who gives me the experience of green, their energy or like that interaction is primarily green, or some palette of greens. When I hear music, I can hear a song, I'll be like, oh, that's oh, actually, I mentioned there's Heat Check, The Sound of Healing, Homegrown as albums. I made like hundreds of songs for these projects. How I categorized them into what made what, aside from like lyrics, was, is this a purple song? Is this a bluish with a yellow sparkle song? Is this a red with like a bit of orange with like a flash of turquoise song? And then they would all kind of like, they all organize themselves that way. And yeah, so lyrically, all those albums are telling a story, but there's a color story kind of happening
What
as well.
color am I?
You give me like a earthy, like an earthy brown with like white hot fire and like little constellations of blue speckles right now. And that could change.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Francis Arevalo.
Thank you.
Thank you.